Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Marzouq. It's nice having you here.
Thank you. I'm very pleased and honored to be around here.
No, the pleasure is ours. How are you doing today?
Feeling pretty well. I had a long day, like a lot of activities.
Okay.
And having this one is kind of feeling excitement.
Thank you so much. I hope this is a chill place for you.
Yeah, it is really. And I got like a very nice welcome around here. Very warm.
Our pleasure.
Yeah. Thank
Our
you.
pleasure. Can you introduce to our audience what do you do and who you are?
Hello, this is Marzouk Sayed. I am a public speaker and also like a trainer and a consultant. I help them like to break the fear and speaking in front of people and how to deal with a large audience, how to present your ideas, how to prepare yourself so you can be a confident speaker and face any audience that you face.
That's amazing. Can you give a backstory of your life? How did all of this start?
Yeah, it actually started when I was in America studying abroad. Like when you got scholarship, the first thing you do is enroll in English institution where they teach you English skills, language, so you can take the IELTS exam. And then you enroll in the university. Okay. During that time, they were having a debate. And it was my first time facing a large audience. And they were teaching us like how to use body language, how to use voice tone. And for me, it was new skills that I didn't know about. But amazingly, I was able to adapt these skills very quick, learn them. And I was so excited. Where my classmates, they were nervous. We're going to speak in front of a large audience. How are we going to face them? What are we going to say? Maybe we're going to forget some ideas. And I was really thrilled. And I wanted the audience to be like even bigger, larger.
Yeah.
So when I attended, I was able to speak confidently. I didn't have any issues. Okay. And it was really amazing. Like I present with power. I use all the techniques they taught us. And after that, people start like telling me, hey, how did you get this kind of skill? Where did you learn? Have you practiced it before? And to me, it was something new. Like I didn't know, I was just doing it.
Right.
And from that time, I realized like, okay, you are really good at public speaking. And then I started like going to a university and I heard about a class that called public speaking.
Okay.
And when I heard about the class, I was so excited. Most of the classes, I was maybe like sitting in the back, don't care that much. But for this class, I was in the front row. And from that time, I started to develop like my skills, my abilities. I enrolled in Toastmaster. It's a place where you can practice your public speaking, practice in front of people. You always get like positive feedback.
Okay.
And from that time, I started to become distinguished in my speaking skills, They start to grow bigger with me. And I enrolled like in competitions. I took first place within like a really short period of time. So it's kind of showing you like, hey, maybe like a message from God telling you like, hey, you are really good at this, so keep doing it. And also like the positive feedback they get from people, from the people around you. So I kept pushing, competing until I reach a level where I become really expert and feeling confident that I can give consultation. I can help people like, hey, you're really afraid of speaking in public? Okay, I will give you this strategies, this technique, use it. Some people like ask me to evaluate their speech. So I come, sit with them, I listen to them, and then I give them my feedback, how they can improve, what they need to change, what they need to address, how to start your presentation, so I can gain the attention of people.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Thank you.
Do you do one-on-one sessions as well, or do you do public as a group teaching? So
it depends. Like for a workshop, I usually do it like for a group of people.
Okay.
I release like a post on Instagram, social media, and whoever like interested, he can sign up. And then I do like a group workshop. I teach them, I give them the skills, the tools, and then I evaluate their performance.
Okay.
And for one-on-one, most of them, they become like most of my clients on one-on-one, they're having like a fear of facing others.
Right.
So they sit with me. I have like a session. Depends on the person. Is he really like, let's say like, is he really very shy, or is someone outgoing and he just needs something to do with the presentation skill, maybe not like necessarily the audience. So based on the person, based on his needs, I design like a package, and based on that, like I give them the service.
That's amazing. And this reminds me of my childhood and how I grew up. Like I had so much problem speaking publicly. I had stage fear as well. I didn't know how to speak. Any teacher in the school would ask me to speak or something. I would always say no. I'd be the last. My parents would always push me to do, to kind of like praise themselves in front of in the society, like, oh, my child is doing this, but I would always back down of it. So how can someone at a childhood age overcome? I mean, they might not have the opportunity to learn from you. Some people might not have that. But how can they overcome some simple techniques at home that they can do?
First of all, as children, or like kids, they need support from their family. So I really advise the parents to push them, support them, not give them like any negative comments. Because kids, if he take like in his like in early age a negative comment, then he will push away, push it away. He will not try it again. So you need to give him like this kind of environment where he can learn from his mistakes, from his failures.
Right.
One of the things that he can do is to talk about something he's really passionate about. For example, I give a workshop for teenagers, and the first thing I do is like I let them draw something they are really passionate about. Like, what do you like? For example, one of them draw basketball, and then he draw like riding horses. He draw a flag of Jamaica because he want to visit there.
Yeah.
After that, I let them explain or like talk about this image they have painted.
Okay, interesting.
The nice thing about this is that you give them the chance to express something they love. First of all, you're gonna see their passion. And second, when someone speaks with passion, you can feel his energy, It's really contagious.
Yeah.
You can feel his excitement about the thing. And the second thing, when you talk about something you really love, you're not gonna have like hesitation, because this is a topic that you really know about, very well. You don't need you're not gonna have like like all this fluffy words.
Correct.
No, you have something to say, and you'll be like really confident speaking about it.
Correct. That's absolutely true. I mean, I always use this, at least in my starting phase of social media and podcasting, I would always use the filler words, and this, that. I would always fill that, and I would search for the right words to say.
Exactly, because you're trying to think, and at the same time, you think like, I have to say something.
Absolutely.
One way to overcome it is just to pause. Wait for the message or for the idea to come, and then you can speak. That's one way you can really tackle this issue. Another thing you can use, for example, bring a recorder, you can use your phone, put like a recorder, and then start recording whenever you have a conversation with someone else.
Okay.
After that, play the recording. See how many times have you used like filling words.
Yeah.
And how many times you have repeated the word. With time, you're going to be really conscious about it. The problem is we speak without being like conscious about what we are saying sometimes. So when we bring attention and focus to them, we're going to have the ability to really tackle this problem. And then whenever you are speaking, you're going to be aware of the word. And that's like the purpose of the exercise.
Yeah, yeah. I have this interesting question. Actually, I had this question for a long time, but I didn't know who to ask. But I think you were the expert. Do you think that people who know multi-languages, like say 3 to 4 languages, have more difficulty expressing themselves in a single language? Is it true? Is it that way?
In my opinion, I don't think it's like a big issue, and I think it's really the opposite. Because if you have multiple languages, that means you have a wide variety of vocabularies they can use, which means you are practicing words, you are practicing vocabularies, you are using, like the word of mouth, like many times. Okay. So it's going to give you like this huge variety, like a big library where you can pull wherever you want. So it's going to enhance your speaking.
Right.
Rather than make you feel like confused or how to address a message.
Right, right. See, I do short videos as well, other than podcasts. I do topics about philosophy and growth and finance and stuff like that.
Interesting.
But when I shoot those videos, short videos, my facial expressions are not there. And a lot of my friends who watch my videos, they say that your voice sounds interesting, but your face does not reciprocate what you're talking about. So can you touch on that, like how to emphasize your body language and keep an effective communication in that?
Body language is one of the areas that's really big, and it takes a lot of practice in order to gain the skills.
Okay.
One of the things when it comes to face expression, one exercise you can do is, for example, say the word, "I'm sorry." Look at the mirror, okay? And say the word, "I'm sorry," when you're feeling happy. You're going to be like,
okay,
"I'm sorry." Okay, one time, say the word sorry and you are feeling angry. I'm sorry. Okay, say the word I'm sorry when you are feeling a little down.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This exercise make you connect your facial expression to the word that you are saying and see how times you are matching. By doing that repeatedly, okay, you're gonna grow this area and improve it. So whenever you are speaking, you can use your facial expression to express the word.
Right. So it's like you're tuning your facial expressions with your
Voice, with your emotions.
Wow,
Yes.
that's powerful.
It is. I remember like learning this technique in one of the acting courses.
Okay.
Yes, and with Abdullah Turkomani, he's one of the famous actors in Kuwait.
Okay.
He was giving a workshop about acting, and he made us like do this exercise, and it was interesting and kind of funny, you know. And he was putting like someone in front of you, like each person gonna have like someone with them, a partner. You say I'm sorry in one emotion, and then the other guy he must repeat the same emotion. It was fun.
Wow.
It was really effective.
Wow, that's interesting. That's really powerful.
Yes, and it's really important because sometimes if you say something and your facial expression doesn't show, then it means like it didn't affect you.
Yeah.
For example, imagine they are sharing a sad story to someone or a motivating story, but your facial expression is not there. The message it's not going to be complete because there is a part. Maybe on radio or podcast, you know, if they don't see you, then yes, complete. Because the only thing you can show is your voice and the word.
Correct.
But when you are on TV, you must show the facial expressions. It's going to make a huge role.
Yeah.
For example, one time they were in America, there were election, like one of the elections between John Kennedy and I think, I don't forget his name, like the president at that time.
Okay.
Nixon, yes, Nixon.
Right.
At that time, John Kennedy and Nixon during the election, people were hearing them, you know, like through radio. At that time, TV was just, you know, like they just invented TV at that time. So not all people have it, and it was expensive. Only few people were having TV at that time. The people who listened to the debate, the election debate between John Kennedy and Nixon on radio, they say Nixon won.
Okay.
However, people who saw, you know, like the election and the debate on the TV, they say, no, John Kennedy won. So there were a debate between those people. Like, hey, who won? Nixon or John Kennedy?
Wow.
Interesting. People who saw John Kennedy on TV, they saw him very excited. He was powerful. He was speaking with confidence. You know, he was like showing strong posture.
Right.
While Nixon, his word was clear. It was like the word he used, it was very powerful, but he showed like he was nervous, hesitant.
Right.
Because on radio, all the way they can show is like the word and the voice.
Correct.
But in TV is the whole picture or the whole image.
It tells a completely different story.
Way different
really
story.
Important. That's an interesting story.
From a winner on like your ears to a winner that you see.
Correct.
So people believe what they see rather than what they hear or listen to.
So this comes to a question like, if there's a speaker, what kind of mistakes can a speaker make that can undermine his message, the kind of message that he wants to portray to the audience? So what mistakes are those?
One of the mistakes is if you don't know the audience that you are targeting. For example, you have a message, but your audience is different. Like your audience may be more religious. So use some example. For example, I use some messages, like I studied Buddhism, okay, as a philosophy, not as a religion. So sometimes in my lectures or in my workshops, I use some examples from the philosophy of Buddhism.
Okay.
If my target audience are super religious people, they will feel offended. They'll be like, why didn't you use Prophet Muhammad? I mean, I'm Muslim. Of course I'm going to use him, but there's nothing wrong with being like variety, you know, taking from here and from here and from here and having a message. So this one, you should study your target audience so you can know how to sell them, how to market your message, how to tailor your message to fit them.
Right.
The second thing, if you start apologizing, like apologizing for forgetting a word or apologizing for not being on time or apologizing in any way. When you apologize, that means there's something that should be done, but you didn't do it. Right. So you're going to create a gap people will think like, okay, he didn't give me the full package.
Yeah.
When you forget something, you are the only person who know this.
Correct.
The audience will know, they not gonna know this, you know?
Correct.
You are the only person.
Correct.
So I don't know like what your next point is, what the next slide is, you know? You only know it, you create it. So just go, you know, like just enroll with it without like apologizing and showing that.
Yeah.
The second thing, the third thing, if you are nervous, people will not know. They're not gonna know that you are really nervous. One thing I can do is to portray confidence, you know? Maybe I'm nervous right now, but you're not gonna tell.
Yeah.
So this is one technique you can use whenever you are speaking in front of people. Don't show that you are nervous. Don't make them feel that. You can feel it inside, but don't let that show to them.
Right.
They're gonna take that message.
Yeah.
Fourth mistake they do is they memorize the speech rather than understanding it. I think
That's my mistake.
a mistake that many students have been through, you know, they memorize the whole speech, and then when it comes to presenting, they try to recall all what they have memorizing. And it's a big, huge mistake. I used to do that.
Okay.
The issue is when you forget one word, what's gonna happen? The whole complete speech is lost.
Correct.
And you need to repeat that again from the beginning so you can remember the words so you can continue.
True.
And it's gonna be put like a lot of emphasis on you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you understand, you can use any vocabulary. For example, if I tell you like, hey, speak about like maybe confidence, you know, or speak about like your favorite restaurant or whatever.
Right.
You can use any vocabularies that come to you.
Correct.
But if I tell you like, hey, memorize, like you're gonna say this sentence and this sentence and this sentence, then it's gonna be really difficult.
Right. I faced this in my scripted videos, where when I memorize it, it shows on your face that this is not coming naturally on your body. And when I understand and then I give my own views on top of it, it feels completely natural. It feels smooth. You know, there's a smooth flow into it. So and that's really important.
Yeah, it's very important. Also pay attention to the way you are walking on stage.
Okay.
Sometimes when you are really nervous, you don't feel yourself, you walk like very fast, you know, or you are speaking very fast. So paying attention to the way that you are speaking, to your pace, to the way you walk on stage is very important, because it's going to give an image,
right?
Whether you are confident, whether you are nervous, whether you are stressed.
Right.
Taking all this into consideration will make you an effective speaker.
Right. But what about places where, let's say, there's a leader and he has a team? What about in that moment where it's not a public speaking, there's no stage? How do you assert confidence in such a moment where the leader might not have, default confidence, but he needs to showcase his team that he's confident so that his team can follow him? How do you assert confidence in such a dialogue?
One thing you can use is like the way you start your speech, you know, how you start your presentation will leave a huge impact on the rest of your presentation. It's like an airport. It's like a plane, you know. When you want to, like the plane when it's flying, like during the flying, is the part where most mistakes happen or most accidents happen.
Really?
Yeah. If the departure is clear, then the rest of the journey will have much chance, you know, like succeeding.
Okay.
But if there's issues in departure, the rest of the flight, there will be an issue.
Correct.
Like, can you imagine being on a plane and then during the departure, there were some mistakes, there are some sound that you're hearing. You're going to be nervous the whole flight, right?
Correct.
At the same time, happen with the leader. If you start with a great, you know, like a great introduction, you present with power. In the beginning, you're going to leave a huge impression, like a good impression. You can use maybe like a quote, you know, powerful quote.
Okay.
Like one quote that I remember is, I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humble, and have the state to look after me. I want to take the calculated risk to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. Starting with kind of like a strong, you know, posture. Even if you only memorize this part, it will make people think like you're really prepared and and even it's really funny, you know. So you can trick them with this. Or maybe you start like with a story. And it's a really amazing way to start with a story.
Okay.
Because it connects people, gain their attention. So using techniques like that will make you appear like confident. And as we say, like when you are acting, you don't know the other person if he's really nervous or not. So even if you are nervous, act like you are really confident. I think we all did this, like when you go to a job interview,
Yeah.
right? You don't know the question, just like a pop-up question, and then all of a sudden you just act confident and show like you really have knowledge and go.
Right. That happens. I mean, I don't have an experience of interviews because I run with my dad. We have a business of our own.
MashaAllah.
But in other places, I mean, when we go to masjid and we have a recitation of Quran or other vocals, it really is important to have that confidence, because I have this problem. When I go to the mic, I completely break down. I don't remember the tune. I don't remember anything. I'm just speaking words. So, I mean, the confidence is really important in that point of time.
Very important confidence because make you feel comfortable. When you are comfortable, you can focus on the different areas. But when you are nervous, you're only gonna focus on giving the presentation and finish as quick as possible.
Correct. Yeah. So in that light, how do you organize your thoughts when you want to speak about something really important? I think you need to first, I mean, in advance, you need to understand what you're trying to say. But how do you do that? How do you organize the kind of thought process that you have before speaking?
Before speaking, one thing I do is I speak them out loud.
Okay.
And the second thing I do is like brainstorming. I, for example, write like the title.
Okay.
When I write the title and then trying like to come up with subtopics, you know, whatever words that I have, like I have by the end of the session, I will have like a huge words, like they are kind of in the chaos, you know.
Right.
Then I start organizing them like under one umbrella,
Okay.
under one topic. Okay, under this topic, what kind of words that can fit under it?
Right.
One thing you can also use to organize your topic is to start with a conclusion. When you know where you're going, you know, you can then like draw like a map, you know. But if you don't know where you're going, it's kind of hard to draw a map. But if you know, like, hey, I want to go to this destination, then I'm gonna draw a map that's gonna help me to reach this destination. And the same apply to speaking, organizing your thoughts. If I know I'm gonna conclude here, it's gonna make it narrow.
Right.
You're gonna have like a wide topic to talk about, but when you know, like, hey, this is the area I'm gonna focus on, then it's gonna make your speech narrow.
Correct.
And you're gonna focus only on this path.
That's interesting. I think it's like a movie. Like in a lot of movies, they show the conclusion, the ending first, and then they show the backstory, how it started. Something like that, yeah?
Kind of similar, yes.
That's really powerful. Speaking of movies, today's youth, I think they lack a lot of public speaking skills, and not just stage public speaking, but in general, with their friends or with their families, in their teams, like if they're playing football. Why are they scared of public speaking, and why do they think like it's a punishment for them?
There are different reasons. First of all, because they are being evaluated. For example, if you speak in front of your parents, you're not gonna really care, you know. You're just gonna say the word without like really being nervous. But if the same words you're gonna use to speak in front of maybe your friends, still a little okay. But if you're gonna use the same word to speak in your classroom, you know, or maybe like in front of your teams, then you're gonna start like being nervous. Why? Because the evaluation is kind of different. Your parents, they're not gonna evaluate you. Your friends, they're not gonna evaluate you. They're not gonna judge you. They know who you are.
Correct.
But when you are in a classroom, especially if there are people that really don't know you very well, so you are thinking like, hey, what are they gonna think about me? What the first impression they're gonna get?
Yeah.
Will they think like I am a cool person, or like boring, someone boring, you know?
Correct.
What are they gonna think? So you're gonna make all this process, it's like a weight on your shoulders. You're gonna think about it. And this is gonna make you feel nervous. The second thing, maybe you're gonna speak about a topic that you're really not confident about or not prepared very well for it.
Right.
It's gonna be a chaos. You don't know like what you're gonna say, how you're gonna start. The third thing is like the lack of public speaking skills. Public speaking is like a tools they give you, they can equip to manage your idea, to manage your presentation, so you know where you're going. For example, when you are on an airplane, okay, the first thing they do, what is the first thing they do in the airplane before like departure?
They have a message that they speak. Is that so?
They have a message. They also show you like the emergency, right? In case there's an emergency.
Yeah.
So you know what you're gonna do. So you're not gonna panic. But if I'm gonna speak and I don't know like what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it, what are the appropriate way to do it, I'm gonna feel panic, the panic of the lack of experience, and what I'm gonna do.
Right.
So these factors make people or like make students, feel shy to do it. And if you don't have like the growth mindset, if you have a fixed mindset, that means like, hey, there are some people who born naturally leader or naturally speaker.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem, because you think like, I'm not gonna be able to adapt the skills. I don't have the perfect ingredients for it. While you have it, you just need to have a growth mindset.
So true.
It means like, I'm not gonna be perfect. I'm gonna fall down, and it's okay because I'm a human and nobody can do something from the beginning. You take time to do it.
Correct.
With this growth mindset, you're not gonna see failure as the end of the way. You're gonna see it as an experiment. You learn from it. Okay, I fail now. I'm gonna learn and then try to do it again. You're gonna fail. When you see failure as experiment, that means you can keep doing it until you succeed.
Correct.
Because you are expecting failure.
Yeah.
Rather than like, hey, I did this and I failed. Wow, how did I fail? Impossible.
Yeah.
You're gonna have all these negative emotions.
That's the fixed mindset you were talking about.
Yes.
If you have a fixed mindset that I cannot lose, or this is going to be too much of a trouble, they're not going to enter in the first place in that dialogue.
You have to need like growth mindset.
So what is one simple tip for them that they can start very immediately?
To start very immediately, know that like when you are a speaker, you have a message. That's a unique message. Nobody else like has it before, The stories that we have, maybe the theme is one,
Right.
but how it becomes different.
Right.
And there's also like something meaningful in it. So when you know like you have a meaningful message and people are there for you, they are not there against you. That's one of the misconceptions that people have. They think like people there to judge them. People there because they want to be there. Like, have you ever like entered like a movie theater and you wish the movie were like the movie sucks or something?
Yeah, all the time.
Have you ever like bought like a ticket to a theater and you wish like the actor would not perform very well?
Yes.
You're going there because you're expecting them like to do their best, right?
Correct.
You're not going there like, hey, I'm gonna buy and I know the actor will suck, so I'm gonna go there. No,
Correct.
You're going there because you know the actor will do his best.
Correct.
And the same apply when you are coming to listen to someone speaking. You want them to be their best. You are there for them.
Right.
There are a minority of people that are gonna judge you, but that doesn't mean it's the reality.
Correct.
Like one motivational speaker, his name is Liz Brown, he said, someone's opinion about me does not have to become my reality.
Oh, that's powerful.
Very, very deep. So gather the opinion, wherever the opinion there was, work with it, enhance it, and see, do you really have it? If you really have it, then make it better.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, then just keep going. Do what you are really good at. Just doing it. Yes.
Interestingly, I have a friend. I have a Kuwaiti friend. He's a public speaker. He's a trainer. So he trains in a group of people just like you, but he has a different subject. And he has something opposite of me. He's great at public speaking because he's a trainer and he's been doing this for years. But when he's put in front of a camera, he completely breaks down. And I'm opposite of him. When I'm in front of a camera, I'm completely confident. But when I go in the real world, in front of a group of people, I have the confidence because those people know me and they follow me. And they adore my work as well. But I have that level of confidence. But still, there's the first few seconds, there's some kind of friction, So two different stories, completely.
Yeah, two different stories, two different group of people, or maybe one people and the other is like a robot.
That's true.
For people who like kind of introvert, maybe they feel safe to speak in front of camera because there are nobody seeing them, and there's only camera and they can view it this way. So they're gonna help them like to speak and be forward. While the other group, like who are get used to audience and they can see the face so they can give feedback because people give you feedback.
Right.
So if you used to like give lectures, workshops, you are used to having like the feedback of other people. So you know what you're gonna like move from one point to another. If someone's bored, you can change the subject, you can do some activity. You have this feedback.
Correct.
For those people, when they are like in front of camera, they feel nervous
Right.
because there's no feedback from the camera.
Correct.
No feedback. At the same time, the same thing happened to those people who are on camera. They used to like a still image. Nobody gonna judge them or see them. So they are comfortable.
Correct.
So when they speak in front of people, they see like all these messages like, hey, what's happening? It's not only one face, like no, different expressions, different emotions, you know?
Yeah.
So they get kind of nervous.
Right.
I remember like my first interview on, on TV.
Okay.
And they were addressing me as like a public speaker, you know, like and someone who give workshop. And when I saw the camera, oh my God. It was a nightmare. I was seeing like this huge lens, you know, like the TV camera, like this big one, you know,
Right.
like the huge one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, you know, like who's looking at me? Like, are they happy? Are they sad? You know, what's happening? Does they feel like, do they view me as like someone interesting? Like what's going on, you know?
Right, right.
So I was sweating and I felt a little hesitant. And that's a message that I'm trying to convey. Like when you try something for the first time, you're gonna feel like hesitant, you're gonna feel like nervous, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because you're trying for the first time.
Correct.
After the interview, I called my mom, like I told like, hey, what do you think about the interview? She was like, yeah, you did a really great job. I thought like I was sweating. She said, no, you looked like you were shining, you know, because of the sweat. It was reflecting like if I was shining.
Right.
Yeah, it was really fun, you know, like a very funny moment.
So in these scenarios, how do you get rid of the fear, the stage fear? How do you get rid of that?
The stage fear, it goes when you speak for the first 5 minutes or like maybe the first few seconds, you're gonna feel afraid, and that's normal. If you do anything for the first time, you're gonna feel afraid. It's very normal. Why? Because your body is releasing adrenaline
Okay.
as a quick reaction to any situation, unexpected situation that's gonna happen, you know? Like the flight, flee or flight?
Fight or flight?
Fight or flight,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
thank you.
Correct.
So your body is getting ready for any expected event. So you're
Right.
gonna feel like a little nervous, you know, like you're gonna feel thrilled, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Correct.
But for example, let's say you are in the bush or like in a jungle or maybe like in a park and you hear like a grass, you know?
Yeah, you want to run away.
You wanna run away and then you don't know what's gonna happen. And then a little cat show up. You're just gonna relax, right? Immediately you're gonna relax.
Absolutely.
Or maybe you're gonna be immediately relaxed.
Correct, correct.
And the same thing happened when you are on an interview or maybe like facing an audience for the first time. You don't know how they're gonna react to you. But when you speak and you see like, okay, some people smiling, you're gonna feel relaxed, you're gonna feel really calm.
Right,
And the stage will go.
right.
Yes. Normally that happens like with most people. But if you're still having the stage fright after even doing that, you know, that means like you really have some issues. Maybe be like a self-confidence issue. Okay, one of the participants in my workshop, she was having abnormal fear.
Okay.
Even though like we were only 6 people, it's a small group. Whenever she speaks, she was terrified, you know, she was afraid, she was like nervous, like someone gonna running behind her, you know. And after like the first day and the second day, her status become better. She started to feel really better, little calm. And then what I found out is that she really have like a lot of messages that she can share. She has like a lot of stories. She can use her face expression. She can use her body language. She's an effective speaker. And then I was amazed, like, why did that happen? And then I realized, like, when I dig with her, like, down, like, deep in her stories, you know, she was growing in an area where the mother was, like, stopping her from expressing herself. She will give the advantage to her brothers, you know. Like, there are some families where, like, if the brothers speak, you don't speak.
Yeah.
They, like, give one handle to the male over, like, the female.
Correct.
She was growing up in environment like that. She felt like she is unworthy. She doesn't have a great value. She doesn't have a message to share. All this kind of emotions make her like doubting herself from speaking and expressing her ideas.
Yeah.
But when we solved this complicity, she was able to speak, express her ideas without any issues.
Wow, that's powerful. I mean, there are so many kids who grow up and they have these deep underlying issues from their childhood that stops them from achieving anything in any career. Is that right?
Yes, that's why confidence is an important skill or an important tool to raising kids. Because if you have confidence, you're not gonna be afraid to try something for the first time. You're not gonna be afraid of like having feedback from others. You're not gonna be afraid to face any negative thoughts from others.
Correct.
You will keep pushing forward.
Yeah. That's a really powerful story. Can you name some of your favorite speakers from anywhere in the world?
One of my favorite speakers, his name is Les Brown.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if you heard about him before or not, but he's a motivational speaker.
Okay.
Whenever you type like motivational videos, you must hear his voice, you know,
Okay.
from like different voices. You can hear and recognize his voice.
Okay.
Like that's how powerful he is as a motivational speaker.
Okay.
And an interesting story, like when I was in America studying, and then I realized like the public speaking skills and everything, I wanted to take a course for one of the motivational speakers.
Okay.
And then I came to know his name from like the motivational videos that the people share on YouTube. They mix with other speakers.
Right.
I started like digging on the comments, and then I found his name. They were
Okay.
like saying like, "Hey, on this minute it was Les Brown." Immediately I put him on Instagram, and by chance he was having like a workshop at that time. Like 2 weeks from that date, like he was having a workshop.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, you know, like one of my favorite speakers. I want to enroll in his class,
Right.
take like this workshop with him. The workshop price was like, oh my God, it was so expensive, so expensive. And I was a student. I didn't have like that much. It was like maybe $3,000, you know, like dollars at that time.
Oh,
Yes,
damn.
I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna afford this, you know. I know like it's worth it because like it's 2 days and it's gonna be like 18 hours,
Right.
2 days. I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna afford it? I called one of my friends. I said like, hey, I know like he has similar interests, you know,
Okay.
for self-development activities, stuff like that. I talked to him like, hey, would you like to sign up for this class? He told me, what's the price? I told him like it's 3,000. He's like, oh my, that's crazy. That's crazy. He said like, no, you can go for yourself, you know. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna make it.
Right.
So I just called. I know I'm not gonna make it, but I just called, you know.
Okay.
I called like the hotline for for his secretary department, and the lady responded, and she's like, "Hey, where did you hear about like Les Brown?" I told her through social media. I saw him like on Instagram, and before that, I listened to his motivation videos on YouTube. He has like a very recognizable voice, etc. And she said, "Okay, so what do you do for a living?" I told like I'm a student, scholarship student.
Right.
She said, "Do you know the course is like around this much?" I told her, "Yeah, I know." She said, "Well, I will try to figure out something that can help you with." I told like, "Okay." She told me, "So you are a student?" I told her, "Yes." And then she told me, "I know like how difficult it is for students. They have like this expenses to pay and rent and flight. Okay, I'm gonna lower it down to maybe 2,600. I'm gonna take 400 away. Is that fine?" I said like, "No, it's above my budget." She said, "Okay, how about like 2,200? I said, "Maybe I can work with this, you know." So I hung up. And then after like the next day she called me. She said like, "Hey, I have a son and he also like in school. And I know like how difficult it is.
Right.
So I'm gonna lower it down to 1,500, like half the price."
Wow.
I was like, "That's really amazing."
Yeah.
And she was like, "So can you attend?" I told her like, inshallah will be able to attend." Then I hang up. And I was like, okay, since, you know, like she gave me this price, still like a little much, but maybe I can afford it, but still a little much, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, how about like using some drama? So I called her. I told her like the airplane is really difficult, you know, like I started giving her like a movie, you know, like a sad movie, like I really cannot, you know, like really maybe I'll have difficulty to afford this price and everything, and then by myself pushing hard, hard working man, you know. And she was like really empathetic with me, okay? And she told me like, okay, how about 600? I was like, wow, sweet, you know, definitely I'm gonna be there.
Oh my goodness.
And from $3,000, you know, to 600.
That's crazy.
And being with this amazing people, like when I attend the workshop, this guy really, he has a huge, like he has this big aurora around him, you know, like he's very charismatic. He can gain your attention, the way he uses his voice, the words, everything. Like he's really charismatic. It is insane.
Correct.
Like I was staying like for 12 hours on the first day without feeling bored.
Wow.
Can you imagine? Like, wow, what this guy? He has magic.
Damn.
And people were coming like from different regions of the world just to attend for him. Like people from Germany, people from Europe, people from Middle East.
Wow.
I was like, wow. And it was really one of the most influential and one of the most influential lectures that I have attended, or one of the most powerful workshops.
What would have happened if you didn't attend this session? How would your life turn out to be?
Actually, my life maybe will be good, you know, but my public speaking will not be that great, you know. Maybe they will be great, but not that super great, because I learned charisma from him.
Okay.
I learned like how to be inspiring speaker, how to be inspirational.
Right.
And I saw there's a magic, and I wanted to be like to reach that level of magic. Like how can I gain, wherever you go, people say about you like, hey, you are charismatic. That's insane.
Of course.
And it's very powerful. Like if you go to job interview, people say you are charismatic. If you speak to people in lecture, they say you are charismatic. How you can do that, you know? It's like a magic. So he showed me a new level that I didn't see before. And it kind of motivated me from inside to work on my skills so I can reach this level.
Yeah.
And since that, like I've been working on myself to reach that level. I'm not gonna say I reached it, you know, because if I say that, then that means like you still, like there's nothing more to learn. But no, I didn't reach it, and I will do my best to reach it.
Yeah, that's you're very humble.
Thank you.
Watching this, you must be proud of you.
Hopefully, yeah.
Please send this podcast to him.
Podcast. Hey, Liz Brown, do you remember me? Just to skip the part where about the drama, you know.
I'm sure it will be much more valuable that he changed your life to a better way than those few thousands of dollars.
Yes, and a round of applause to like his secretary, like to have this empathetic, you know, like kind of virtue.
Right. Absolutely. That's really important. That can change a man's life.
Yeah, there are some people who are really desperate to learn something, and maybe if you teach them, you're gonna open like new doors to them.
True.
But some people, they only focus on the material, you know, like on the maybe like the money. If you can pay, you can. If you cannot, I understand that. But if you have like a chance to help, maybe offer like 2 seats, you know, 2 free seats, wherever. Like if you have a chance to help, then never hesitate.
That's so
Because
true.
you don't know like what you're gonna do with his life, yeah.
That's so true.
And one day, definitely is gonna come back to you.
Definitely. Of course, all the help that you do, it comes back in a whole circle.
Yes.
On the opposite side of this conversation, it's a really good conversation, but on the opposite side, there are times when you have to say no. And I think for me at least, and a lot of people, that is one of the toughest jobs. I mean, to say no to some people, it's really difficult. How do you say no when you need to?
When it comes to saying no, I think we need to learn from a narcissistic person.
Okay.
Even they are narcissistic and they have like kind of some negative aspects, but they also have some positive aspects, you know? They are able to say no without feeling guilty.
Right.
That's something good.
Yeah.
How many times like you want to say no, but you couldn't because you felt like maybe if I say no, what are they going to think about me?
Yeah.
So here's like the first issue. What are they going to think about me?
Correct.
I must say no without feeling any complaint or like maybe feeling guilt because it's my right. Because as he has like the courage to ask me to do something, I also must have the courage to say no.
Yeah.
And also like when it comes to saying no, think about the goals that you're gonna leave behind or the priorities that you have that you're gonna leave behind. Or how big they're gonna become if you didn't say no and if you say yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna take another time, another hour, and maybe another day. You're gonna postpone it maybe another week just so you can do this thing.
Yeah.
So if you think about like the pain that comes, you know, without saying no, it's gonna give you the energy to push and to say no. Sometimes we don't think about the pain.
Yeah.
When you think about the pain, it's gonna drive you, you know, like you don't want to experience that pain, so you're gonna say no.
That's so true.
And it comes unfortunately late. Like after like you say like yes, then you go back and you say like, hey, why did I say this? You know, I have this and I have that. The second thing is, there were what we call is 5-second rule.
Okay.
5-second rule means like whenever someone asks you something, take 5 seconds, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then reply. Why? Because you have the immediate action usually. Whenever someone asks something he wants us to do something, we have the immediate action.
Yeah.
We don't think. We have like this irrational thinking.
Correct.
But when we take like 5 seconds, start counting, and then replying, we are activating the irrational mind. So we're going to think, we're going to digest, and then we're going to reply. That's why whenever we say yes and then we go back, we say like, hey, why did I say yes? I have this and that.
Right. And sometimes when you want to say no and you said yes because you're too afraid to say no, then you end up not doing that work. And that causes a bigger problem.
Bigger issues.
Yeah. Sometimes relations break up.
Right? Oh my God. That's the worst.
Well, I had an amazing time talking to you, learning so many things, and I opened up my life's some stories that I've not shared with other people, and I think I've learned a lot of things that I need to go back, sit down, write down, and improve on my life. So thank you so much for your valuable time and valuable content as well.
Thank you for having me. I really was thrilled with this conversation. It was very amazing. And also like having a very welcoming guest like you, and also like the soldiers behind the scene. I really had like amazing time.
The
Thank
pleasure
you
is
so much.
ours. Any final statement for our viewers?
Yes, talk about something that you really like, and view failure as an experiment, not something they're gonna judge you. And also know that people are there for you. They are not there against you. They're gonna give you like the motivation to keep speaking and express yourself.
Amazing. That's
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you have a great weekend.
Same to you. Thank you.
Hope we made your weekend a bit better.
No, you make it the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.